I call this special securitization meeting to order.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to turn it over to Matt?
Turn it over to Matt Vanderbeck.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Yeah, so just here today to go through the financial statements that were issued related to 2022. Pretty standard year. So I'm just going to go through a few of the pages and just see if you guys have any questions. So Kelly, if you want to go to the report, which is, you can go to page 3, really, of the document. Yeah.
Okay.
Next page. Yeah, so this is just where we signed the report in March, on March 29th, 2023. So this was due at the end of March, and it was filed by March 31st, and the report indicates, there's no issues with the standard report. We'll go through in a few minutes just an observation and communication related to internal control that's referred to in this government auditing standards report that's in the back of the document. We'll get to that in a few minutes. So really, if you want to start, then just looking at the results for the year, if you go to page 7, the next page. Here we go. So if you scroll down just a little bit, I mean, I think the main number that you focus on is in the debt service fund, that first column. And if you scroll down a little bit, the revenue exceeded the expenses by $74,000. So what that reflects is more from a cash basis of what basically transpired during the year. So when you look at the interest expense in that column, that's the interest that you actually paid. And then the debt service principal payments are right what they say. So that's your total debt service, is the $300,000 plus the $600,000. When you look to the middle column, that converts everything to an accrual basis, and your 2005 bonds that you have, you're not paying them down yet. So each year the interest just keeps accruing on them. So when you look at the overall results for the year in that final column over to the right, it's a decrease of $401,000, but that's not on a cash basis. That's on an accrual basis. So really, when you manage the cash flow and determine how much money you're going to pay down on the debt service, you base it on this first column. When you look at the revenue for the year, you'll see the source is that tobacco settlement revenue of $1 million. So that number is what's driving the cash flow for you to be able to pay down the debt. So when you look at the overall fund balance at the bottom left there, you see that it went from 1.898 to 1.973. So you had an increase in the fund balance. The overall fund balance is negative because you're picking up the entire debt related to the full accrual basis. So that's why that is a big negative. We'll look at the balance sheet in just a second, you'll see that. So if you flip to the previous page, Kelly, this is your balance sheet. So same thing, you have the same 3 columns, right? So you have cash of $26,000. You keep that number pretty low. That's what you have in the bank to pay some of your accounts payable and bills that you have. You have a tobacco settlement receivable balance, which is close to that $1 million that we saw on the previous page. So that's the anticipated amount that you estimate at the end of the year that you're going to collect. So that would be something you had estimated at the end of 2022 to collect in 2023. And every year that gets trued up when the money comes in. Because it's not always the same. It's in part, there's an estimate there.
Hey, Matt, it's PJ. Can I just make a comment?
Yep.
As far as the cash, we keep the cash level low because the amount that we're allocated every year is much higher than that. But if we don't take it, we can use the rest. We use the rest towards debt principal payment on the
Yes.
debt.
Yep. That makes sense, BJ. That's what we've seen, that you've been accelerating and paying down the debt faster than what you're required to do, which I'll show you in a minute how much you've done over the years. So that's why that cash balance is maintained at that level that PJ keeps an eye on. So if we go down a little bit more into the fund balance section, again, this is just the same with the difference here. The reason you have that big negative number is it's a full accrual. You have to pick up the bond liabilities, right? So from a cash basis, in the first column, you're maintaining a certain level of fund balance, but then you have to convert to the full accrual, and then you will continue to pay down the debt. The thing is, right now, you also have to deal with that 2005 accrued interest that keeps adding up. So that's something you're fighting against. It's just the fact that you have accrued interest also happening as you're paying down the principal on the 2000 bonds. So really, the next page I just wanted to show you is on page 12. So a lot of this statement is the same wording as it was last year. At the bottom of page 12, let me get to it.
Is that it right there?
I think so, yes. So if you look right at the bottom, right where you were, Kelly, just go a little more down. So the bottom, so those last couple of sentences, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows up. It says as December 31st, 2022, the $5 million 2005 bonds accreted accumulated interest of $11 million. So that shows you don't pay the 2005 bonds until you pay down the 2000 bonds. So as you continue to pay down the 2000 bonds, after you're done, you'll pay the 2005. So that loan originally was at $5 million. You can see how much interest has accrued over the years. It's at $11 million of accrued interest. That's why that balance keeps growing on that balance, because you're not applying anything to that yet. But for the 2000 bonds, it says there in 2022, you've paid $625,000 above what you're actually required to pay right now, because you've been in advance paying more than what's been required. So you continue to be able to pay down the debt quicker, which has been something you've been doing for years. Now, overall, since the beginning of making these additional payments, you can see that the next sentence says it's been reduced by $5.885 million over the years. So that's the amount in excess of what's been required that you've been paying because of the way you've been managing that cash over the years to pay down the debt quicker because of the funds that you've been receiving on the tobacco settlement receivables. So I just wanted to point that out. If you go to the next page, there's a schedule. This is your required schedule. As you can see, is really, because you're ahead of schedule on this, the required amounts don't show any principal payments that are actually due. That's because you're ahead of schedule. That's just showing you how that works. And then what happens is in the next schedule, right down below, you go into the next section, optional schedule. The optional schedule, the way this is done is it takes, it assumes that there's an amount. See that $3 million? You're not going to pay $3 million next year. It's going to be much less than that. But the way the schedule works, it assumes because you haven't paid as much as the optional schedule has called for, but you have paid more than the required. So what that does is it creates the optional schedule. If you had paid along the optional schedule in full, you would have been caught up and not had that $3 million number next year. It's basically saying that's the amount that you've been below the optional schedule in the past. So it's just a presentation, because if you had paid it all, if you were able to, it's not really your choice. It's based on how much money you collect. Then that you would have been done by 2025, but you haven't been able to collect enough money to pay down that debt in that time frame. So hopefully I tried to explain that. Hopefully you follow. So before I go to the last page or the last section, does anyone have any questions from what I said so far?
I do.
Okay.
So to explain it, so I understand it, being the lesson person that I am,
are we worse off or are we better off? Being that, because it says when you say, well, they're accruing interest, you know, that's like, oh, okay, we're getting interest, but we're not paying it down. So are we up more interest or are we going down? That makes sense?
Yeah, is the amount of the is the amount that you're paying in excess of the amount that's accruing? That's what you're asking. So going back to the page and see if I can show that. Yeah, the amount of interest. So actually the page I'm referring to, if you go back to page 7, I'm going backwards now to kind of show the.
I'm sorry about that, but
That's all right.
No, that's a good question. That's kind of what I kind of inferred that, and then you asked the question, so that's good. So see, the interest you're paying is 346. You're paying principal of 625, so that's about $1 million, right? So the amount that's so if you pull out, so it's actually, if you think about it, it's about 600. I think it's almost even, right? Or let me just make sure. No, you're behind, because what happens is that's why you have that negative number in the middle column. You have more that's being accrued than you're able to pay.
right.
So it's actually becoming a larger liability.
But Matt, it's PJ again, okay? Just remember that we're not liable for this. If we don't receive enough revenue from tobacco payments, the county's not liable,
Oh,
okay? So we're not on the hook for this.
Well, then
We've had that
that's
determination.
yeah, okay.
It really
Yeah.
doesn't matter.
So I have like a 700-foot level question.
Yep.
What did we borrow $21 million for in 2000? And
We
why?
didn't borrow.
We didn't borrow that.
It's a bond for $21 million.
No, that's where the payable is now.
Yeah.
Okay? Just so happens, for those that are new, I'll make a copy of this. and-
Okay, thank
Okay, basically, we received funds of about 15 million,
Okay,
okay, in return for this bond expense. But actually received funds of about 15 million over the course of 5 years. And they used it for facilities, everything, so on, courthouse payments, Pine Haven, so on and so forth. You'll make a copy of this and give it to you.
how is that related to tobacco, Pine Haven and
Now,
courthouse?
those are the proceeds that they used when they received this money.
We're making
Back
money
then.
off this, even though it looks like we're super in debt.
No, we got that money in 2000, where we got and spent it on infrastructure and other things,
Okay,
and now we're paying it back.
Now, okay.
It's a securitization. So what that is, you were able to borrow on the ability, the anticipation to collect this money in the
Sure.
future.
but it has to do with tobacco.
Yes, but the expenses did not have right to that, though.
Okay.
There's no tie to the.
So they're like, we're gonna tax cigarettes and make them $12 a pack, and we're gonna give you money over time, and if you'd like to get all that money up front, we're gonna give it to you up front. You can spend it on whatever you want,
Which they-
Right.
and we're paying it back.
Correct.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
And it's put in,
Back with our money.
With
We're
With
paying
the
back
tobacco.
their money. Back with their money.
the
With their
tobacco tax money.
you got the money up front, and now as you collect it, you're paying back the debt, the bondholders.
Okay.
And there's no connection, like with the opioid money, we have to use it to like combat opioids. So there's no requirement that the tobacco money, like the reason we're charging them $12 a pack is so that we can like use it for education to stop people from smoking.
This-
Okay,
No,
I don't think they're related, no.
all right.
So
Thank
this
you.
actually, the thing with this is, which is confusing a little bit, is it goes back and it's from a long time ago, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
So it just continues now for, for a very long time. But the other point, which I'll wrap this up, but the point is though, you're getting the funding from that payment each year, and you have been paying more than you've been required. So it has been good in that respect. And once you pay back the 2000, you'll start paying back the 2005, and then that number won't be growing. It should start to come down.
and then there could come a time where the debt is paid off and we just have revenue coming in, that if we wanted to do another bond for a project, we could, or we could just have a revenue source. No,
No, once the bond is paid off, it's
Done.
paid off.
and we don't get that
Second
tobacco
installment.
tax money anymore?
No.
Oh, so you have to have a debt to get the money.
Not unless we create a new one. I don't think any of us will be around by the time this is paid off, so.
Okay. Got it. All right. Thank you. I know.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Kelly, the last thing was really just to comment on the, you know, the report in the back, which is page 17, page 18. You know, I don't want to make too much of this, but I just want to at least point out the report. So when we look at the report, I think last year, you know, there was a bunch of, as we all know, there's a bunch of transition, a bunch of things that had changed. Let's see, it's page 17. If you keep scrolling down to just where it shows my signature. Yeah, so this is a report about internal controls. And one of the things that we need to make sure of that we've had this before, and then I think recently with some of the changes that took place around this time and trying to get this all pulled together in the time frame. The expectation is management has the ability to go through it and review these statements, tie out all the numbers, make sure they're comfortable that they have put everything together. I think this year we had put some of these things together ourselves and kind of worked with management, but we felt that going forward, which if you look on the next page, actually the next two, the last page, let's see, page 19, management. Yeah, the one above that. Not the budget, but the one you were right there. Okay, this is it right here. So because of our observation on what we would like to see management be able to do for the county, and due to the transition and some of the changes, we would like in the future for, you know, the controller's office to be able to take the responsibility to put these financial statements together and do everything that they need to feel comfortable everything is tied out, and then hand it over to us. So I think the process was a little bit more interactive, where in recent years, I think it kind of was like that because there was more stability and there's been some changes. So we have this as an observation, and the management's committed to fix this year. So I don't want to make more than I have to out of it. It's just a finding that I have to put into the report.
So is that one of the reasons why with Jim coming in, he realized that we weren't doing that mandatory training that we all had to do to be on this committee? Because I've been on this committee for longer than a year.
That's separate.
Oh,
That's corporate.
There's other requirements you're required to do because of it being a public authority rules that you have to comply with. So in the past, there've been a few that I know you guys have been working through, but no, this has nothing to do with that.
Basically, the county's just doing more work, so to get the numbers to where he's got to
He
go.
was doing more work.
Right, now you're gonna do part of that work, right? Right. That's what
Yeah,
they're
the key is too that management's totally capable of doing it. So it's not like there's no question from a capability perspective, I know they can do it. It's just a matter of, I think it was just more of the transition and resources at the time.
And Matt Cassie started back with us last week or the week before. I don't know if you knew that or not.
You did?
Yeah.
You're kidding me.
Oh.
I didn't know that because I know she went to another place in Albany.
Yeah, so Jessica left and Cassie's back.
Wow. Okay.
So that'll help you.
Yeah, no, I just didn't, I didn't know that. Thank you, Jim. But yeah, that's the only reason that's here is just, I think, more from a resource perspective at the time. So I didn't have anything else. That's pretty much, it's a pretty standard report, standard audit.
Yes.
Matt, you're good to go then.
Yeah, I just have a 4 o'clock. So I thank you for accommodating me today with not coming in. I appreciate that. Okay.
We'll see you later.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. So,
Is it because they've lost people? It's probably up there, they're having issues. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought we're off.
no,
Oh,
keep going.
Oh,
The meeting's still going.
oh,
Do you want to go over the budget?
but then I assume that we'll pay them less since we don't pay them a flat fee, we pay them hourly or something, because we're not gonna
It's
pay
a
them,
flat fee.
but then we're gonna renegotiate the flat fee if you're
We do
taking.
what we bid it every year. So I think we paid a little bit more for this report. I like it less.
But with you taking on a chunk of the work, we will make sure the fees are
Yeah,
adjusted
okay.
accordingly. Okay.
It's not, I mean, I think it's like 5,000. Six this year. So
Okay.
It's not, wasn't a lot.
7,200.
Okay. So this is the budget. It's more of like a reflection of how it could be, not necessarily how we do make a decision on what we're paying in the middle of the year. So this is time just to keep it in the budget flat for the year and we kind of adjust it as we go. We make a little bit more on the revenue and then we decide what we're paying throughout the year.
I think we can a motion.
Yes.
Accept the budget.
Make a motion to accept the budget as typed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anything else? Amelia?
And then we got also, we're supposed to review the mission statement and then vote on that annually. If there's changes, we have to report back to the authority budget office. We haven't changed the mission statement. We did update our, based on the class that DJ just went to. We updated the website with a lot more information, including this, that I don't think we had out there before, but we need to just review it and then adopt it.
And this is no changes from the current one.
Oh, that's additional.
I'll make the motion to readopt the mission statement as typed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then we had did everybody sign the fiduciary?
Right here.
Yeah,
That's another thing that needs to be done annually, I believe. So I'll make sure you guys do that every year and bring people next year. And then the last thing is the training. Every 3 years, you have to do the training if you've been on the board for that long, or if you're new, you have a year from your appointment to do it. So if you've done it within 3 years, please let me know. If you haven't, please sign up. There's a link on the authority website for the training. If you need me to send that, I can send that out there.
I think, Kitty, I think you did it last time with Matt, right? And we did that in 2020.
I'll have to do it again.
It's intriguing.
I know I have to do it again. Yeah.
Like watching paint
So, if you want to send me that link, I'll send it
Yeah,
to everyone.
I
I've
keep
done
sitting there
it.
going, what
This will
link?
be,
What link?
this will be like my third time doing it.
Yeah, I think they kind of waived it through COVID too, so, but that would be 3 years.
So eventually they'll catch up and I think they probably have bigger authorities to deal with than us, but we'll want to make sure we have that up so we don't have.
Just set it up again, Kelly, else I'm gonna do it.
Okay, if you want to sit together and go lunch or something. Anybody else wants to come in?
They do take.
They make you
they
say
make
your
you
name at some point to make
Speak
sure
at the
you're not.
beginning and
already-
at the end, so
Uh-huh.
they know you're paying attention.
They're very trustworthy.
Yeah.
Almost like the military, they kind of know.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
That's it.
Okay.
Unless there's anything else.
Motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thank you all.
Let me,
Thanks, Dennis.
Okay, I can call Finance Committee meeting to order. We're gonna get started with resolution number 1.
Move it.
All in favor?
No.
Second. Got me off. This one here we go. I got 43 more to go. This is gonna be a long night, long afternoon. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 2, authorization for OFA to fill 1 position site worker.
Move it.
Second.
Motion in the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 3, authorization for OFA to contract with Care Manage.
Second.
Motion in the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 4, authorization for the Health Department to fill 1 public health nurse.
Move it. Second. Second.
Motion in the second, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 5, authorization for the Health Department.
Second.
Motion in the second, all in
that
favor?
wasn't a grant one, was it? Or was it?
Opposed?
Transfer.
Carried.
Oh, grant.
Number 6, authorization for the health department to contract with speech pathologist.
Move it. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 7, authorization for the Department of Human Services to accept OASIS opioid settlement regional
Move it.
abatement.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 8, authorization for DSS to fill 1 caseworker.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 9, authorization for DSS to fill 2 social.
Move it. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 10, authorization for DSS to convert 1 clerk typist position.
Move it.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 11, authorization for DSS to modify the existing agreement between the Columbia County Department of Social Services.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 12, authorization for 911 to accept a lateral transfer, emergency
Move it.
dispatcher.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 13, authorization for 911 to fill up 6 per diem emergency dispatcher
Move
it.
positions.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 14, authorization for 911 to accept that.
Move it. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thought it word grant.
Carried.
Flag.
Number 15, authorization.
Move
for-
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 16, authorization for the public defender. to
Move it.
accept the-
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 17, authorization for the sheriff's office.
Move
Enter-
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
The only question on that, Matt, do we know, go back to Germantown, I know that there was some question as to the other department. Did we ever have that conversation?
Well, I know that the sheriff has, talked with the school superintendent
Okay.
about, because their, Germantown's also contracting out with some security services.
Yeah, how did that go? I mean,
Well, if it doesn't go to the, where the sheriff is satisfied, we don't have to execute that contract moving forward.
I think we have to know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Number 18, authorization for the MIS department to fill 1 computer services specialist position.
Move it. Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
One second.
Carried. Do you need a motion and a second on 17? Or
No, we did.
it's not?
Trying to figure out why the owl's not working.
Hmm.
You got
Right over.
No.
Do it over, Jim.
We'll go 1 to 18.
It doesn't want to connect.
Kelly needs it lit up.
Is it on? Is it on?
Is this supposed to light here?
There. it goes.
Okay, now it's light.
Somebody speak.
Hello? Working? Give me some of that stuff.
There we
Wow.
go. Okay.
All set?
We should be good. I don't know.
I think we did 18, right?
18,
We're
yeah.
moving on to 19. Authorization to appoint a member to the environmental management.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 20, authorization to appoint a member to the environmental
Move it.
management council. Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. 21, authorization for human services to establish standard workdays for certain elected.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 22, authorization for human resources to establish standard workday for employees.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorization to revise the Columbia County lactation accommodation policy.
Move it.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 24, authorization to revise the Columbia County discrimination and harassment policy.
Move it.
Second.
Motion in the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 25, authorization to create and fill one payroll clerk position at $50,016.
Second.
Motion in the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 26, authorization to adopt the Columbia County Limited English Proficiency Plan.
Move it. Second.
Motion in the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 27.
I just
Resolution.
asked a question. I thought the letter was replacing this resolution.
Doesn't have to be necessary. You can do both.
Okay, because the email that went out said that instead of the resolution, we were doing a letter.
I think we should do both, just,
You could do both. I don't see it. Yeah.
the letter can speed up the process, but you can still do this.
So resolution number 7 says a resolution urging the governor.
Move it. Second.
Motion in the second. All, opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
It may be a moot point by the time we get it to full board.
Yeah. Number 28, authorization to increase the TIPS expenditure line.
Second.
Motion in the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. That came up quite a bit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money there.
Yeah, but we're getting like $100,000.
Yeah. Number 29, authorization to award the bid for pavement marking.
Move it.
Second.
Motion in the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried.
And I was understanding that CHIPS deal came up in our town too, but
What's that?
they will not re-spend on any roads that they come apart within
10 years.
10 years.
That's always been.
Yeah.
You could go back over and seal them after 5.
Sealing, right?
You can't seal them?
No, they will. It's not part
So
of
that
that.
had changed from.
Yeah, so, by the way, we're doing 10-year cycles.
Yeah, not hold up that long. So we have to budget for it. That's what I said. I said, that's what it is. We'll have to budget.
We haven't
No, the
done
thing
that yet.
about the chips, it was.
We haven't done that.
Right.
All right, number 30, authorization for the solid waste department to fill one part-time labor position.
Move it.
Motion in a second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 31, authorization for the solid, motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 32, authorization,
Move it.
director. All right, this, I had a question on. The Milton Caterpillar, that generator, contract.
Yeah.
It said 22, 23, are we paying for 23 when? Are we starting in 22? The contract, I thought, the way it read, said
23, 26.
for the term of 20, so is it including 23 already? You know, what I mean, we're approving this thing. We're approving it now in 3023 and we're halfway into it. What does that start? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know that.
If it starts now and it goes through June of 26, that would be 3 years. So 23 to 24,
Right.
24 to 25,
That's-
25 to
But
26.
I didn't say that clearly. I was just concerned, just
Does that have, Kelly, does that have this thing?
It says 8/1/23 to 7/31/26.
So it's 8, so that's.
Okay. Okay. Good. So I seen that and I was
Yeah.
just kind of
So you want paying for half.
Should we put that in the resolution?
wouldn't be a bad idea to have that in there this way. And there's 3 of them here, if I remember right, so we probably need to
Yeah.
change all 3.
They all must expire in August.
Okay, so on that number 32.
We have a
Um,
motion.
We have a
I'll
motion,
second.
motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 33, authorization with that change.
Second.
Motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And number 34,
Move it as amended.
Second.
motion in a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
How,
Carried.
I'm fine with all that, but how old are these generators?
Some are,
Very, very,
Some
this
are
one's
old.
really old,
Yeah.
the highway garage one.
No, I'm just looking at the cost of the maintenance on these. I was
Yeah.
wondering if we're looking at.
We are looking at
Replacing them.
replacing them. Actually, Brian's been trying to get some cost estimates and then working with, Bubba on a grant for trying to
Right.
replace some of these things.
And what do
On a
these
map.
things cost?
Lots.
I know, are they $100,000? Are they?
Probably, that one's probably even.
This one here would be
Yeah.
in.
But
I
Rob,
don't even
those old Caterpillars, I've been out there looking at these things, you know, those old cats, they're rebuildable. I mean, my
Oh,
God,
okay.
they're
I was-
big cast iron units. I
Looking
mean,
at these numbers, I'm just saying, well.
you get a new one, you're gonna deal with, you know, emissions and all the crap that's on them, where these old diesels.
I have no idea. Just
Yeah,
looking
if
at
they
these.
can keep them running, I mean, they'll run forever. you know?
And how does that sort, so a $4,000 a year service agreement, they just come out whenever it needs it?
No, they do come and do regular maintenance.
Maintenance.
They change the oil and filters and do those things, testing.
But anything major, we pay on top of that, correct? Yeah.
There's very limited stuff that you're not paying for, you know,
It's
but
critical with these type of things, because they start instantly.
Yeah.
Go to full power.
Yeah.
It's not like you start the car, let it warm up. They don't warm up.
No, it's right up.
Full power. Boom. So they gotta make sure the oil's changed, everything's gotta be done at the time they're fast.
and they're kept warm. You know,
Got it.
the oil is warm, the temperature, the water's warm, so that when they go start, they go right up like you're saying. Okay, number 35, authorization for the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 36, authorization for the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to declare itself lead agency.
Move it.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 37, authorization of transfer of funds from the Bridge Construction Forest account.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. And that was that for the road extent, that extra half a
Bridge and Main
mile?
Road. It's all gonna be-
Yeah.
just stays for Kippy.
Yeah.
I would like some bridge money. That's right. Your bridge is gonna be put off for another year, but we're gonna get Kippy's road done, so that's. Good luck. You want me to?
Okay, number 38, authorization for the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to sign and execute any necessary documentation to agree to a change
Now
order.
we're gonna spend that money we moved. I'll move it.
Yeah. We have a motion,
Second.
motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 39, authorization for the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to execute an agreement and other required documents to purchase a pair of mobile traffic signals.
Move it.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
What are
Opposed?
those things?
Carried.
What are those mobile?
Those are, they have the big signs when you get into a bridge or something that says bridge closed or depot.
So you can do one lane
Not
on a
necessarily
bridge
those
without.
speed signs, 'cause we-
So does this have motors in it? Are these-
A lot less than that.
These got it, yeah. If you,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, what we did with that, we bought them without trailers, and then we bought cheap trailers for $400 or $500, mounted them on it.
Yeah,
4
we
days.
just bought some speed signs, this company put in park for $5,000.
Yeah.
Did you get the signs that blink like a trooper?
Like a
On top?
trooper.
Yeah, they got the light.
Oh, those are scary.
Speeded up the lights.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you
yeah.
think
They
somebody
really
stopped.
get your attention, I
I
don't know.
don't, I don't know if this does actually.
Is these got solar on them too?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a
And they
regular
have a
motor.
Generator that starts up
Yeah.
and runs if it needs it, you know.
So did we take the next?
Yep, yours not that one.
Number 40, authorization for the chairman of the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to sign and execute any necessary documentation to agree to the implementation task order with NIMO National
Move it.
Grid.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 41, authorization for the Columbia County Board of Supervisors to approve the collective.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 42, authorization of upgrade and fill one position.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 43, authorization to fill one accounting and auditing specialist at $62,482.
Second.
Motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
I have a question that's gonna make me sound ignorant, but I'm just gonna throw it out there. So Columbia Green Community College and Union, what does the county have to do with the collective bargaining agreement?
Both counties have to approve the agreement.
Even though we're not the employer, the college is the employer, but
Well,
because
we're the
we give them.
funder.
money.
We're, because we funded
Okay.
the sponsors or whatever you want.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, they have to approve it for, go through their whole process of approving it.
I think their
first.
budget's coming up too soon.
It just seems, I know.
I know.
For our employees.
And it's every 6 years, so I totally forgot all about it and know what it was and now.
Is there anyone else who would like to bring anything before the finance committee?
We just got our,
45.
delinquent taxes back.
Okay.
It's all squared away. 4.8 million was returned to us,
Oh,
which is about standard for every year.
Yeah.
Highest was like 6 million and 20.
Right.
It's about standard amount.
okay, good. How you doing on
Sales
a,
tax continues to dwindle a little bit, so
how much are we doing?
we're level with last year, but we started quite a bit ahead.
Okay.
Well, there was something on the news and it was like big flashing, sales tax is down, but in reality, it's not even back to what it was pre-COVID. It made it sound like we're having this huge dip, which is true from the upward that we were in. But again, they didn't give that kind of fair comparison of
Well, it's shock journalism. They want to scare everybody.
I was like, wait a minute. But if I wasn't on this board, I'd be like, oh my gosh,
Yeah.
what's happening
Yeah.
with sales tax?
And I was surprised even from our comptroller, he didn't really express that in that last letter that he sent. So I was reading it and I don't.
How we
You
doing?
guys know. And I mean, he's claiming state and opposed 2% growth last year. That tells me somebody else is doing better than us.
Well,
No,
New York City's doing real.
We're doing,
which is bigger than all of us.
I think that's the COVID years shifted up
We
here,
took
you
New
know.
York City's sales tax
Right.
because everyone came up here full time and now as
Right.
they're going back there, they're.
how we doing, PJ, with your investments? Like, what kind of percentage are we getting now, you know?
We have a bunch of staggered loans we have with TD Bank, T-bills, Bank of Wheaton County, and the average is about 4.9 to 5 point, low fives.
Really? That's pretty good?
Yeah.
Yeah, for not a lot of, okay,
For no risk.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's pretty good. And are we paying, out of that, we paying a percentage out of that for them to do that? Okay. Okay, is there anything else? Not, I need a motion. to adjourn.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
That was something too.
Thank you.